Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, October 2, 2025. So we start off with Brady and Kayla. So Brady's just, finally finding out that look, Tate is not the actual biological father, and he's asking Kayla, like, are you sure? Did they run it properly? Maybe, because I sent out the initial thing at first, maybe there was some error. So she said, no, everything seems to be direct, right? So, anyways, he's saying that, you know, it's just not adding up how Sophia would lie about the gender and everything like that. So Kayla is just attributing it to maybe to her just dealing with all of the stress with delivering and then having to give the baby up and everything. So she is just saying maybe she had a lot on her plate, and Brady's not trying to take that away from her, but at the same time he also is worried about how it's affecting his son, and they just want closure to know if the baby's safe and the baby's being well taken care of. And he knows how much his father took a long while to find out his own biological family, and he just doesn't want that for his grandchild. And Kayla understands that, and he thinks about his dad a lot and how he misses him, and he thanks Steve for really stepping in and just helping him to solve this situation. And he's always there for his dad, and he's just thankful that Steve is just doing all that he can, and Kayla as well. And Kayla just said, hopefully you will definitely find the answers to this as well. Now, while that is going on, Tate and Holly are in the hospital room, and he's just begging for her to give him another chance, considering how he could have lost her with this whole fire thing. And she's saying like it's a little too late. She's not interested in really going another round with him, because again, he kind of messed up with hooking up back with Sophia. And he said that in his defense that he was trying to get some answers on the whereabouts of his child with her. And at the same time, he doesn't know, like, hey, he didn't know what else to do. It was a stupid, not well thought out plan. And she said, yeah, you definitely were the idiot to mess this up and everything. And I'm just feeling like every time we try to fix our relationship, or our relationship is on the mend, it always is broken as a result of you messing around with Sophia. And like, I think that after the last time, like, you will learn better. And she said, you know what, I'm just not interested to really go forward. And Tay is saying that, look, it is not, it is definitely hard. It's hard to not think of us going forward and everything. And he's begging with her to just another chance. So she said no, she's not really interested. At some point, Maggie comes in, and that's when Tate is given the green light to go at this point, because Holly doesn't have nothing much to say to him. So Maggie was already briefed by Kayla and Brady that Holly's gonna make a full recovery. It was just some smoke inhalation, but she had that problem because she was drinking heavily the night before, and she knocked over a candle accidentally. And Brady luckily was on the dorm, and he was able to take her out of the room himself physically. So she is just surprised because, they were there before with her going through the OD earlier, I think last year. So, she's just surprised that this would happen again. So she comes in and talks to Holly about it. And Holly is just really happy to see her, but she also knows that she feels like she disappointed her grandmother because, here they are again, yet in the hospital after a close call, a near fatal situation. And Holly apologizes for that, her actions. And Maggie said, look, you know every consequence is a result of like a positive or negative action, and because of that, like, you could have almost affected everybody else on the dorm, like people who love and care for you. So everything always has a consequence. So anyway, she said, what was happening for you to be doing that. So she said that Tate cheating on her with Sophia again, and she heard from it from Ari, and that caused her to drink a little bit, but she understands the repercussions of her actions. And Maggie just saying that, look, I get that you're upset and you're trying to mask the pain, and I get it more than anybody because I'm a recovering alcoholic myself. But you got to think about it. And then, Holly thinks about her dad and what happened to him because of, drunk driving. And Maggie didn't have much time with her son, and she's hoping that she has a lot more time with her granddaughter. And Holly promised her that she's going to do a lot better when she comes out of here and, really learn from this, right? At some point, Kayla comes in and Kayla said that, look, based on your results, it seems as if you've been drinking a lot more. She said she only had 2 drinks. She doesn't know how much was in the cup, but maybe her body just can't handle that much liquor. And also to just rest up. So, Maggie's saying that she needs to come home and rest at home. And she said, no, she can't do that. She have to get back to apologize to other people and Ari. And, she has schoolwork, her phone and everything is left there, right? So speaking of Ari, right? So Ari has to, tidy up the whole area, pick out whatever or discard whatever because of the smoke damage in the room. Sophia comes back in and Ari's briefing her on what's going on with Holly and that she's gonna be okay. And she talk about the time and she remembers that she sent out the message at a certain time and she has Holly's phone. So now she's wondering how she's gonna discard of it. Ari's there talking to her about what's happening with the room. And at some point the phone is vibrating. Now at that point, Johnny is trying to reach Holly to like find out what's the meaning behind this, what's the meaning behind the pictures. And Ari's asking Sophia, is she gonna get it? So she said no, it's just her mom asking her what's going on constantly. So anyways, it goes to voicemail and Ari asks her if she can help her with the room. So she says she'd love to, but she can't. So Ari was stuck with it. So at some point, Holly is discharged with Maggie and she goes to the room and she apologized to Ari for her actions and everything. And she said she understands as long as she's okay and, at least it was just a candle that got contained in the garbage bin and it didn't blow up the whole, burn out the whole dorm, right? So anyways, she talks to her more about what's the repercussions of everything, right? So apparently they have to pay back for the damage of the room, of course. And, Holly's saying you don't have to do it. I have to just find a job and pay for it. But Maggie is opting to pay for it as well as Gabby. And Gabby was sending the cleaning crew to help with, I guess, the clothes or whatever that have been affected by the smoke. So anyways, not only that, but they have to face the disciplinary committee for that action as well. And Holly just feels bad for it all. Holly then asks about the phone and Ari said that she already scoped the room. There was no sign of a phone. So Holly's like, no, like, it must be there. So she didn't have it at the hospital room. So she looks in the room herself. It's not there. So then Maggie turns her find her phone on because Holly's on her plan, and then Holly's trying to locate her phone. The last location that it was at the dorm. So now they wanted like where could it be? So back to Johnny and Chanel because Chanel is livid about what's going on. Right now because of Johnny and what's going on with Holly is has caused them the opportunity to adopt a sorrow or any chance of adopting another baby because whatever the social worker has, she can possibly make a report and that could cause them their dream of starting a family. So Johnny's assuring her that look, he doesn't know how the pictures came there and how the report came about because he's not having an affair at all with Holly, right? So he's saying that he's determined to prove her wrong and also asking her to believe in him, like he would not step out on her. And he's gonna find out what's going on. He's gonna get to the bottom of it. They're going to start their family, right? So she believes in him after really hearing him and knowing that he's sincere about it. She believes him. And he said he's going to go out there and find Holly himself, confront her what's going on, right? Now, Tate comes out, with his sorry self, talking to his father about, what's going on. He also asked his father about what was it all about with Kayla. And he said that, Kayla's just talking about what's going on between you and Holly and the breakup and everything. So he tells his dad that, look, things are not good between me and Holly. Holly, we've broken up before, but it seems like the final straw. This is the end to it. So, he was only trying to find out information about the baby and he went about it the wrong way. And Brady said, like, look, it's all because of that action. And I get that, you were trying to get information, but, it just went the wrong way. And, just chin up, right? So, at some point, he tells his dad that he has to get ready for work. Before that, Johnny pops up on them, right? So Johnny's there looking for Holly, and he asks Tate, where's Holly? Like, he needs to get a hold of her. So Tate said that, you know, what happened. So he said that, it was just, about an assignment. And that's when Brady tells him that, look, Holly's in hospital. She had the smoke inhalation. um she is expected to make a full recovery, so he's happy to hear that. So he asked them, when will she be discharged. So Brady said that possibly today. So they're asking, like, why is he so interested, because he said that Holly had a question about the assignment. That's why he was trying to track her down. So Tate goes to work, and that's when Brady and Johnny are talking, and Brady's asking him, like, look, it seems like it's a lot more than just schoolwork. So he tells Brady, like, what's really going on, and that he received, he had a bad meeting with the social worker, and it all is related back to the mother of Testaro based on the letter. And also, it seems as if the person has it out for Holly as well, right? So he also talks about how some pictures were sent to his phone and everything. So it just doesn't seem to add up, because he is not guilty of any of these things. So Brady said that, look, this sounds really off, but anything that I can do to help, I'll definitely help, right? Just let me know. So Johnny said that he would take him up on this offer. At some point, Kayla comes down later, and Brady asks, how's everything with Holly. So she tells him that Holly is being discharged, and he talks to her about what happened in Johnny Chandel's meeting with the social worker, and that it went awry because of this letter from Tessara's mother, basically saying that they're not fit to be parents, and it seems as if the person also has it out for Holly, right? So Kayla's wondering, like, what's really going on? Like, how come she came out of the blue to say that? So Brady is saying that, all of this information points to Sophia. Like, it's just screaming at me, Sophia. So anyways, he asks Kayla if she can, rerun the results, because, it just doesn't seem to add up. So she said that she's gonna do it again, right? So anyways, moving on to Chanel and Paulina. Paulina comes over with gifts because again, she knows about the meeting that Johnny and Chanel have, and she just wants to congratulate them, spoil the baby, because she's thinking everything is going well. So Chanel breaks down, and Chanel tells her what happened with Johnny and the social worker, and this whole thing with Holly. So she's saying, like, this just doesn't seem right. Like, why now? Like, everything just doesn't seem right. So Chanel is saying that, look, I believe Johnny, I'm standing by him, but she asks her if any part of her sees any truth to this, like, are Holly and Johnny having a thing. So she said at this point, like, Holly could still have that crush for him. I don't know at this point. Johnny's out there trying to confront her, right? So Paulina is like a little skeptical, but Chanel shut it right down. So at some point, Chanel said, maybe this is not cut off for me to be a mom. And Paulina peps her up and said that, look, in my fortune, not a fortune teller, but you're gonna be a mom someday. You're gonna make a great one at that. You and Johnny are going to start your family, right? So that cheered her up. Johnny comes in, and Johnny said that he didn't see Holly, and he told them about what happened with Holly being in the hospital and smoke inhalation. And Chanel said, at least she's alive. So she's not really so happy with Holly. But again, we know that this definitely doesn't seem up to par. They already feel like it's a university student that's targeting Johnny and Chanel, and then Holly and everything. At the end of the day, I'm hoping that, apart from Brady, Johnny can remember that he saw Sophie in the square, and that she was there when they talked about their adoption thing and everything. So, like, come on, it's only Brady that's thinking about this. So anyways, Sophia is also getting ready for work along with Tate. Tate happens to see her at the garbage bin disposing of the phone. He didn't see the phone actually, but she got surprised again. A deer in the headlights look that she likes to do, and she is saying that she misplaced her phone, and then she turns in the pocket and took it out. So she buried Holly's phone, and she goes into the pub with him, and she's saying, like, is everything going all right with Holly? I heard about what happened. So he said that she's okay, she's gonna be fine. And he said that, she said, if there anything that you want to talk you can talk to me. So he said, no, I'm not really in the mood. So she is just there smiling her little ugly face off, honestly. And I'm not saying ugly in terms of beauty and everything, but her personality is just really ugly. And I'm just sick and tired of looking at her smug face, her smirk and everything, like her mannerisms. I'm just sick of it, right? So, anyways, that was it. Hopefully, they can nail this girl sooner than later, because I'm just tired of this all. And Johnny and Chanel really need the opportunity to really start their family, because every time they're getting railroaded on this. But comment below your thoughts on today's episodes, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.